Good afternoon. It is February 19th, 2020, and we're here to talk more about the ITAG bottom-up drop shoulder construction of a garment that we're currently working on, the tutorial. If you haven't joined me before, my name's Suzanne Bryan. If you're a returning customer, yay! I love to see you all come back. So let's see who's on here so far. Hello, Evelyn and Dolise. Also today, I'm going to assign some more moderators. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to go to, let's see, how am I going to have to do this? Let me go to YouTube and over to my channel. Sorry, but I got to figure this out. And so we want to see this video live today. Should be running right now. It says it's live. Yay! So let me get on here. And I want to get some more moderators. Let me see how I can see this. Oh, I know how I can do it. Technology. Oh my goodness. It is so amazing. Let's see, I'm going to have to close this. Go over here. I'm sorry, there's going to be a little bit of me fiddling around here just for a second. Let's see. Okay, let's get some additional moderators on here. So, can you hear me right now? I'm hoping you can hear me. Dolise, you're going to become a moderator. And Francoise, Renee is going to become a moderator. Hello, Judy. I'll tell you what I'm doing in just a second. Hi, Kurt. Kathy, do you mind me becoming a moderator for me? Oh, you are a moderator. Great. Okay, good. Excellent. Let's see, Scott. This is good. Okay. Okay, good. Now I can turn that off and get back to my questions. And then I'll be ready. Almost there. Yay! Little bit of office work. Okay. So, I'm wearing my bottom-up drop shoulder cardigan. It is one of my favorites. I just love this sweater. And I did all the embroidery on it too, which you can do on yours. And we did that in the pillow. Remember, over the summer, we did that embroidered the cable pillow and with the embroidery on it. And that was kind of like a preliminary that you could use on your sweater if you wanted. So, we've got David said he's going to catch me in the replay. Francois from Lyon, France. Ann D. Susan Day. Renee. Pamela Matthews. Hello. Lori Jane. Valerie Dunham. Judy. Renee. Jackie. Kurt. Kathy. Fatima. Dorian. Teresa Brown. Demetria. Juliet Nash. And a bunch of other people. Thank you for being here. I really enjoy doing this, and I enjoy seeing all your names on there and being supportive of me. So, we started, many people have been working on the back. Some people are starting on the front, and there are some questions over on Ravelry that are really good. So I'm going to cover those first. This one is let's see. This is from Moonrocker. Moonrocker says, question, after the interview with Kurt Payne, you said that the next ITAG knit along would be set in sleeve bottom up after this one. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to join in before now because set-in sleeves are the only style that suits me. Although I intend to sign up for set-in sleeve bottom up, I was disappointed that's not a top-down knit along. So I'd like to know a very rough ETA for the set-in sleeve bottom up, please. I know you like to do things off the cuff. And is there a medium longish term plan to do a set-in sleeve top-down knit along, or are we almost at the end now? Well, you know what we could do? It's probably going to be, it'll start probably in November or shortly after November next year, or 2020, this year, but next winter. We'll start the bottom-up set-in sleeve. But what we could do, if you want to participate, is we could I could show you how to do it bottom up or top down. Because really what I've been teaching you all along from the very beginning in all these sweaters is how to measure your body, how to draw a schematic, how to transfer your measurements to the schematic, how to knit a gauge swatch, how to figure out how much yarn you're going to need based upon your schematic and your gauge swatch. And once you have that schematic and your gauge swatch and the yardage you need, there's nothing to stop you from knitting bottom up or top down, because all you're going to do is follow the shaping from your schematic. You could even knit it from side to side. Once you have the schematic and your gauge and how much yardage you're going to need, you can knit that sweater however you want. So really what we're learning is how to use a schematic. So maybe that's what we'll do. On the very last one, which I intend that to be the last one, I'll teach you how to do it top down or bottom up. Okay, so really it's just a matter of doing increases instead of decreases and decreases instead of increases, and the shaping for set-in sleeves going down versus up. Now, of course, you probably aren't going to knit your sleeves top down because most sleeve caps don't start at the top. They usually start at the cuff and work up. Now, it just crossed my mind that you might be speaking about a contiguous type sleeve. And that is a completely different animal because that's not knit in pieces. That's knit in the round or in one piece. And we're going to be working this in pieces and seaming because I think that it's really important to learn how to seam. And also remember, if you're going to ask questions over in the chat, to preface it with the word question in all caps so that I can pick it up easily when I'm scanning through here, which I'm doing right now. Okay. Thank you, Amanda. She says she's a moderator, and Kurt waving. Did you guys happen to see my interview with Ann Budd? I was so disappointed that the echoing was on in the beginning. Oh my gosh. You know, if it isn't one thing, it's another. When you're doing live like this, there's no room for error. And I can't really go back and erase it or edit it. You get what you get. And I was so disappointed that the echoing is there at the beginning. But I loved it when she brought up her horse's head, the second thing that she ever knitted. I had no idea that she was going to do that. And it was just so delightful. It was wonderful. So if you didn't get a chance to see that interview with Ann, but you may want to go back and watch it. It was very, very good. It's not very long. It's just a little over half an hour. Okay, continuing down the questions. That was Moonrocker. Demetria wanted to thank me for doing the video on the sloper. She had some questions about the fabric that we used to draw the life size pattern on. It actually could be, you could even use, you know how Christmas wrapping paper on the inside comes, sometimes it's 1 inch, it's graphed out for 1 inch squares. You could even use that. Anything that has 1 inch squares on it, you could use. Just makes it easier to measure. It doesn't have to be graphed like that. You could just measure it yourself, but it's a whole lot easier if the squares are already on the paper or the fabric or interfacing. And that was a good video too, if you haven't had a chance to watch it. This is from Mum Bum. What's the best way to handle a rolled edge on a seamed sweater? Should I just change which side I seam at the roll, or would it be better to cast on provisionally and knit the edge in the round? Is there a recommended percentage of ease for different sweater fits? I'm planning an oversized, more casual sweater. Does it differ for men? That's a lot of different questions right in there. So the first is a rolled edge on a seamed sweater. I wouldn't do anything special. I would just knit your fabric the way you want, leaving the rolled edge. And when you seam it, that rolled edge will still roll up. You might be able to see the seamed edge, and maybe that's what you're concerned about. So what you would do is when you get to the part where it's going to roll up, you would reverse your seaming to the other side of the fabric. So instead of seaming it from the right side, you would seam it from the wrong side. You would use the same continuous seaming thread, but at the point where the fabric's going to curl up on the edge, you would switch to the other side so that the selvage stitches are within the rolled part and not showing on the outside of the fabric. I think that answers your question. And then she says, is there a recommended percentage of ease for different sweater fits? If you go to the Craft Yarn Council webpage, they have a whole section on ease. And those are the standards, and you can go by that. So if you want to see what the standards are, those are the recommended percentages of ease. What ease is, some people don't understand what ease is. Ease is the difference between the size of the garment and your body. So this has quite a bit of ease. See all that extra fabric there? So this probably has like 8 inches of ease in it. So the sweater circumference is about 8 inches larger than the circumference of my body that it's covering. That difference in the circumference is the ease. Now, if you have a t-shirt that's tighter than your body, it's skin tighter, then that would be negative ease, because if you took that shirt off and measured it without it being stretched, the circumference would be smaller than the circumference of your body. So that is considered negative ease. The ease is the difference between the size of your body and the size of the garment. If the garment's bigger, it's positive ease. If the garment is smaller, it's negative ease. I didn't used to understand that either. So, sometimes we just assume people know what these words mean, and in knitting, ease means something completely different than it does in standard English. Then she says, does it differ for men? It does not differ for men. Ease is ease. So it just depends on how much extra space you want in your garment. And I recommend trying on garments of the type that you want to create and seeing how much difference there is in the circumference from the circumference of the body of the intended recipient. Now this is from Crochet Lady, and she said she's making a vest. How many extra inches or stitches do I need to bind off? I'm assuming that you're talking at the armholes, and it depends on how wide you want your edging to be. If you're going to put a 1 inch ribbing around the opening of the armhole, then you'll want to bind off 1 inch worth of stitches so that you have a place to put that edging. Okay? Let's see. This is from Mountain Mon. And, it was about the last video. That's fine. Let's see. Moon Rocker. She has a suggestion for future off the cuffs for interviewing people, and she is suggesting tech knitter. I think that's a great idea. I'll have to figure out how to get a hold of her. I think that would be wonderful. I'm adding that to my list. Great suggestion. If you have any other suggestions for people that you would like to see me interview, be sure to let me know and I'll contact them. And then there's a question for the upcoming one on Saturday for Nathan Taylor, so I'll save that. Now this is from Demetria. I love Demetria. She thinks so outside the box, and I just love that. That's exactly the kind of people that I like to teach to knit. She says, Suzanne, is it a bad idea to make the front in 3 pieces? And I'll kind of shorten it out because I understand what she's saying. I'm going to draw a picture of what she's saying. She's saying she has a large bust, okay? So she wants to have the center. So let's say she has the center piece. I'm drawing on my little board here. There's her center. It's not the whole front. It's just from shoulder to shoulder. And then if she has her extra pieces, she wants to have a second and a third piece on each side, like this. Now what she wants to do is she wants to make this center piece, this part, longer and these parts shorter. So really what they would look like is the side pieces would look more like this to accommodate her bust. Do you see what I did there? They look like D's. So really what would happen is the fabric would be wider here across the bust. This would create a wider area here and longer in the center. These would be shorter because of the curve. So this curve here, this fabric would curve around. This would be actually shorter over on the side. So it's another way of creating bust shaping. And this is a fabulous idea. Let me draw this other D better. This isn't good. You're not getting the idea. And Demetria, can you see what I'm doing here? I think this is what you're talking about. I think that I've never seen this done, and I think it's a fantastic idea. So you can see that center piece is longer, so it would give her the extra length to go over her bust, and so the real length of the sweater is the same in the front and the back. Those 2 side pieces would give her the extra width at her bust, so she would have length and width for the bust without changing the overall length of the sweater. Ingenious, ingenious. I can't wait to see it. Okay. And she's going to have to work out the math for that, but you can do it on paper. You know, just cut out the pieces of paper and make that curve match. That's all you've got to do. And then you're going to have to figure out on these parts here, the D's, you know, that's going to involve increases going up because you're going bottom up. So this will get wider, 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 and then it'll get narrower back up at the top. So you're creating that extra fabric here. I think that's what you're talking about. Let me know. Let me see if she said anything down here. Yes. Yep. Isn't that cool? That is like, I love that. Okay. So that's Demetria. Then this is Lynn Zayla. For the ITAG drop shoulder sweater, I'm doing a Gansey pattern with saddles. I'm currently working a full width swatch so I can determine how many vertical repeats I will need. I want to make sure that whatever I do for the back will also work on the front, especially at the neck. A simple knit 1, purl 1, rib. My stitch pattern has a large center motif and I'm worried about it being disrupted by the neck band. Do you have any advice on how to plan for this? 2 things. One is, where is the central motif going to be this way? Because you don't want it to be cut off by the neck. And then if you're going to, I'm assuming you're making a pullover. So you want your motif to be down here low enough below the neck that you can see it, and you want it to be the same on the back. In that case, what I do is I knit one whole, multiple, and repeat of the motif. Then put it on a copying machine and copy it so you can tape it together. So you have the length of it this way without having to knit it. And then you can put it up against your body and see where you want that motif to be. One of the people in our group that's on here, actually, Renee, when she knit this sweater last year, that's what she did, because she has a one big motif that's in the center of the back, and we weren't sure how to center it so that it would actually look good, and that's what we did. We photocopied it, cut and pasted it together to see how we want to position it. And you actually might find that you can readjust the motif. You can add or subtract to the actual design of the motif and create something of your own to make it centered vertically. That's a great question. This is from Lindy Bear. Question: Suzanne, can you talk a little about the shaping for a V-neck versus a crew neck? I'm trying to decide which one I want. So this is a crew neck. It's kind of a low one, but this is how I wanted my neck to be. What I do is I just look at my body in the mirror and I put my finger, okay, this is how far down I want my neck to come, or this is how far, where do you want your neck to come? And then you measure down from the side of your neck to that point. You put it on your schematic. Then you also have to allow for the edging. So this edging is another inch. So actually my neckline is an inch lower than that. Then when I added the edging, it brought it up an inch. I also want to mention at this point, when you're doing the front, if you have to adjust for cable flare compensation, which I did, you would do it in this area around the neck. You can't just do it at the shoulders. Anywhere where you're narrowing the fabric, bringing the fabric over, you have to adjust for cable flare compensation. So you may be doing some knit two togethers or SSKs on either side to draw in the fabric a little bit. Otherwise your neck will flare out too wide. And because of the weight of the sleeves on a sweater like this, it will pull the neck out. So you need to make sure that you have adjusted for cable flare compensation. It's kind of like I'm going all over tangents, but I think you get it. Okay, and then there's another question for Sockmatician. I'll save that. This is from Pamela, Knit 2 Purl 2. Hi, Pamela. In your video for cable flare reduction cast on, you talk about cables with the same number of stitches on each side, such as 3x3, 1x1, etc. I have a cable that is 3x2 and another that's 2x1. I'm not sure how to make that work so it doesn't look like a 3x3 cable. I average them out. So let's say you have a 3-stitch cable, 2 over 1. It's a 3-stitch wide cable. It's 2 stitches over 1. I might add 1 stitch. And then you have another one that's going to be 3 over 2. On that one, I'd add 2 stitches. It's just guesstimate. Sometimes you might add, it might be 2 over 1, you might add 2 stitches. The bottom line is you do not want to increase the width of the fabric or decrease the width of the fabric based upon how much the cables are going to pull in. So whatever it takes to maintain the width of the fabric, that's what you need to do in the cable flare compensation cast on and bind off. Okay, so that's all the ones over in Ravelry. Let me come over here and see what we've got going on over here. Let me look for the questions. Okay. It's fun to see everybody on here. Let's see. Question, Deborah Cisneros. Suzanne, can you show which are the embroidered stitches on the lovely sweater you're wearing? Thank you. Let me take this off and I'll show you up close. There's a lot of embroidery on here. In fact, once you start doing it, it's hard to stop because it's so fun, but you got to kind of think, okay, how much color do I want to add? Let me get my button unbuttoned. Oops. Okay, I'll show you the back. So, can you see that up close? The green is the foundation. The gold, the purple, the blue, the yellow, the orange, those are all embroidery stitches. Here's the sleeve. And going up into the saddle. That's my saddle. So I chose, so I didn't really know what I was going to do on the sleeves until I did the back. So I have this central motif going up the back, the purple one. That's the central motif. Then I have these two motifs on the edge. This motif's too wide to go up the center of my sleeve because I wanted my saddle to be about 2 inches wide. That's like 3.5, 4 inches wide, so it's too wide for the saddle. But one of these, the ones with the orange, is perfect. It's 2 inches wide. So I chose that as the center of my sleeve to go up the saddle. So here's my sleeve. So you can see, there's the orange, and it goes all the way up the saddle into the neck to the very edge of the ribbing. I brought my embroidery through at various points into the ribbing of the neck around the sweater. Isn't that fun? So on the front, it doesn't really go, it's just ribbing because I've got the shaping around the neck. That was super fun. Okay. Let's see. Jolie says her moderation powers haven't gone live yet. Let me look again, Jolie, because it says that you're a moderator when I went there. Let me look again. Let's see, I need to go to... Okay, let me find you over here. Oh, I see. So a question here, somebody highlighted in orange. You're a moderator. Dolise, you are a moderator. I don't know why it's not showing up, but on mine, the only option I have is to remove you as a moderator, so you must be a moderator, okay? Over here, I have a question that I missed that is from Vincensla Dennis. Question, hi Suzanne, I'm almost finished with the back. If I use your cable compensation bind off, do I need to do one row of knit only before the bind off to allow horizontal selvage for seaming? I would do in the row right before your bind off, I would do your cable compensation bind off, or the cable compensation, knitting the stitches together, and then bind off straight across. That bind off will give you a place to do your seaming. So that's what I did in this sweater. So here's the back neck. So I worked, you can see how wide the purple areas are down here and how narrow they are up here. That's because I reduced 2 stitches to 1 for each one of those. And I actually reduced all of the purl stitches in between here and here. So I reduced, there's 8 stitches here and there's 4 up here. So I reduced it by 50%. Okay. and then I bound off. So that gives me an area for picking up stitches for the ribbing of the neck. And then when I did the embroidery across, it made it look continuous across. And when you pick up stitches, I have a really good video on picking up stitches around a neck and a curved edge. It looks like the stitches just continuously go across the seam. There's no real visible seam. Okay, let's see if there's any more questions. If I miss a question, post it again or say something. What yarn is this? This is, there's a company that, there's a lot of companies that sell yarn wholesale. This is from one of those companies. The company is called Wool to Dye For. It's W2D4, Wool to Dye For. And my friend at the local yarn store, Ron, dyed this for me, this color. I specifically wanted this green color. And this is sport weight, 100% merino worsted, and it's 3-ply. So, and it's non-superwash. I specifically wanted non-superwash yarn because when I was teaching this sweater, I was teaching about the difference between superwash and non-superwash. Okay, let's see if there's any more questions that I missed. Oh, Dolise, Kurt says go ahead and try deleting his post to try out your powers. Oh, Amanda says, I think Vincentia is orange because they bought you Ko-Fi. I think it's actually because you can buy Super Chat, which makes I just learned it just when I went to look at hers because it said Super Chat. You can buy Super Chat, which makes your questions stand out. That gives me some money. And if you want to do that, you can, but it's not a requirement. But I certainly appreciate it. I love it because that helps me facilitate doing these live streams and the things that I do. I buy software. The software that I'm using right now cost me about $200. If I want to stream to more than one format at a time, I had to buy another software that was about $400. I have a special camera that I use. It's all those things that I do just to try to make it go better and to look more professional. Okay. Okay. Diana said she couldn't see anybody else's post, but I think she fixed that. She logged out and logged back in again. So anybody else have any questions? So we're on the front. The front has come out. The directions for that. It was a big chunk because it has all the information about waist shaping, bust shaping, and I gave you 4 different styles of pockets. I plan on adding some additional videos, although I have quite a few on the types of things you need to do for those pockets, like picking up a fabric from behind and combining 2 fabrics together into one. I have videos on all of that already, and they're in that playlist. If they're not in the playlist, let me know and I'll put them in there. The next section that's going to be coming out will be on the sleeve. And that should be coming out probably in a week or so. And then there'll be one final section after that, and that will be the button bands and the neck, V-neck, crew neck, and a shawl collar for a cardigan. Somebody had asked about a shawl collar for a pullover, and I said that I was not including that, but the more I think about it, the more I think I might include it, but it might be too late actually to include it because you'd have to change the front of your sweater before you get there for the neck. I'm not going to include that. Disregard that. It's just going to be a shawl collar for a cardigan. And let's see. And then this Saturday, I have a live stream interview with Nathan Taylor that I'm very excited about. He's going to share some of the projects that are going to be in his upcoming book. And I love his artistry. So that's going to be really fun. You're going to want to tune in for that. It'll be 2 o'clock Pacific time this coming Saturday on February 22nd. Then the next couple of Saturdays, there will not be any live interviews because I'm going to be on vacation. But I will be doing a live stream next Wednesday. This time next Wednesday. The following week I won't, because I'm going to be on a train traveling to Washington, D.C. with my husband for a little trip. So are there any more questions for today? This is kind of a short one. Let's see if anybody's... Oh, Fatima asked. Oh, a couple questions. Courtney, question, how do I decide how wide to make the saddle? I'm knitting a size 3T for my daughter. That's an excellent question. So on an adult, what you would do is you look at the width of the top of the sleeve, or what you would consider the top of a sleeve cap. In an adult, that's usually about 2 inches. For a man, it might be 3 inches. Adult woman, 2 inches. Man, about 3 inches. For a child, it's probably going to be about 1 inch. You can look in Ann Budd's book if you want to back that information up. And if you want to look in either the top-down sweaters or the bottom-up, it doesn't really matter. Go to the ones with the sleeve caps or the saddle shoulder. The saddle shoulder and the top-down. She doesn't have it in the bottom-up book. She just has it in the top-down book. But you can look at the schematics for the saddle shoulder. It's on page 186. She has the child sizes there, and she has the width of the saddle. And for 3T, let's see, I don't know what size 3T is, but let's say she has the smallest for the saddle she has is 3/4 inch. Let's see. It's hard to say. Let's see. Oh, actually, let's look at the top of the set-in sleeves. Because you can just look at the top of a set-in sleeve and see how wide it is at the top. And that is how wide you're going to want your saddle to be. And it doesn't really, she doesn't have a schematic of the sleeve separately. Let's see, let me keep looking, I'm sorry. Set-in sleeve. Yeah, see, she's including, I don't know if you can see that, the sleeve is on the connected to the sweater. She doesn't have a separate schematic for the sleeve, so you can't see how wide it is at the top. But you can go to the part in the directions where she has you bind off for the top of the sleeve cap, and that'll tell you how wide the sleeve cap is. Or you can just look at the recipient of the sweater. It's this part right across the top of your shoulder here, from here to here, front to back, how wide that is. That's how wide the saddle should be. Okay. Okay, let's see. That was Courtney. Fatima says, I am planning to make a vest in seed stitch. I would like to make a princess line in the middle of the front and coming under the armhole. How can I do the inclination of the princess lines in seed stitch? I would do to make a difference, a line there, I might do a 1 garter ridge across in the line. Then you could make, if your princess line is going to be curved like this or like this, I don't know how you want, or if it's going to be straight. If it's going to be straight, I would just do a garter, 1 garter ridge, you know, knit over and knit back. So it makes a garter ridge. But if you want to have it curved like this, then you're going to have short rows above it and short rows below it, which could look very, very interesting. So the short rows below it would be in the center. The short rows above it would be over here on the edges. I would draw it out on a piece of paper, on graph paper, and see what you think about it. Or even try making the sloper, and see, Diana, more of an opinion. Will the lace next to the sleeve stretch much? And using lace for my saddle, will that cause a problem? I would have two selvage stitches on each side of the lace instead of just one. So that when you do seam it, just inside the seam, there is a column of knit stitches on either side of the seam, and that'll give it more foundation. So you're going to have two stockinette selvage stitches on either side of the lace. And I would do that along the neck edge. If you're going to have a curved neck edge, I would do that along there, V-neck, and the saddles. I would also do it along the edges where the armholes are going to attach. If you haven't done that already, it's okay. But if you haven't gotten that far, I would, have two. I don't have a sweater here to show you. I have one in a drawer, but I have my daughter's family staying here and everything's moved around. So I really don't know where anything is right now to go find real quickly. Okay. Kurt Payne, what days are you going to go to Stitches West? I'm thinking that's this week. It actually starts tomorrow. I'm thinking of going up just for the day on Saturday. That's what I'm thinking, because I just want to go up in the morning. I want to go to the marketplace. There's some people I want to visit, and then I'll come back down. It's a 4 hours and 45-minute drive from my house, but I love driving my car. So I get in my car and I turn the stereo up, and I get into my little space and I have a good time. Kimmy Knott, question, please would you do some tutorials on shaping in lace, decreasing and increasing whilst maintaining a pattern? I have some tutorials on that in lace, on shaping, increasing and decreasing and maintaining a pattern. I did a whole tutorial on lace shaping year before last. It's a pattern you can buy on Ravelry. I can't remember the name of it, but it's in my patterns. And in that, there's a whole series videos on shaping in lace, in different types of shaping, whether you're shaping for a curved edge like a semicircular or circular or triangular. I talk about shaping in all those different instances. Courtney, question, follow-up then. I decrease the front length by that width. I will look in the top-down book. I just grabbed it from the library on the weekend. Exactly. So if you have your saddle, let's say you're going to make the saddle 1 inch for a 3T. Then you would remove a 1/2 inch from the length of the front and a 1/2 inch from the length of the back. Exactly. Yes. Okay, Alma says she needs to leave. That's fine. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Does anybody else have any other questions? I can't drive up there on Saturday. I'm going to be doing a live interview. It might have to be Sunday. And next week I'm going to be gone on the weekend, and then the following weekend I'm going to be gone too. Oh, goodness gracious. So, I hope to see you all here back on Saturday. I think we're going to have a really fun time. I've got to see some of Nathan's work when we were discussing having the interview, and it's so exciting. Just to see what's in his brain, Helen Henry, question, which of your online classes are more for the beginner? Thanks. All of my tutorials, everything is is if you've not done it before, not knitted. You need to know how to make knit stitches and purl stitches, but I include everything in how to do it. Now, some things are more in depth, and it just depends on how much work you want to go through. I have some very simple ones, like I have one on a hat that has, so you're learning how to knit in the round, you learn how to do ribbing, you learn how to do increases in ribbing so they're invisible, you learn how to do a jogless jog in a stripe, you learn how to do spiral knitting, what do you call that, helix knitting, So that's kind of a beginner one. I also have quite a few sock patterns that are good for beginners. These are things that I teach in my person-to-person classes, so I use those for beginning knitting. Any other questions? Give me not question. Do I go to Ravelry to see the video tutorials? You go to, so I have 2 YouTube channels. I have this one that we're on. This is called Suzanne Off the Cuff. And on this video channel, I just do live streams. That's all there are, and they're longer. I have a completely different YouTube channel called Knitting with Suzanne Bryan, and I have, I think, close to 400 video tutorials, short video tutorials on how to do just about anything you can think about in knitting. If there's something in there that I don't have and you want to see it, let me know and I'll add it to my video list. The best way to find these things is just to Google Suzanne Bryan and whatever technique you're looking up. Like if you want to look up shaping in lace, put Suzanne Bryan shaping in lace. And all of my videos that are shaping in lace will pop up. Just like that. Super easy. You don't even have to go to my channel. And then, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, anytime I make a new video, you'll get a notification. So you hit the red subscribe button. Next to it, there's a little bell. If the bell looks like it's vibrating, like it has little lines on either side of it, that means that you will get notifications when I load up a new video. If there's no lines, that means you will not get notifications. The way to change it is to click on the bell. So you can either click on the bell to turn notifications on, or you can click on the bell to turn notifications off. On this YouTube channel, the majority of the people that watch these are subscribed. And there's a little over 2,000 subscribers on this channel. On my other channel, I have almost 60,000 subscribers, but about 75% of the viewers of the videos have not subscribed. And I suspect the reason is that they don't have a Google account. In order to subscribe, you have to have a Google account because, you know, Google owns YouTube. So Google wants you to officially sign in to become a subscriber. But for me, that's very, very important because the way they rank my YouTube channel is by how many subscribers I have. So the more subscribers I have, the more they push my videos up towards the top. When people are just scrolling through and looking at videos, you're more likely to see one of my videos if I have more subscribers. So it is an advantage to me for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Helen, Choose Hunt wondering more about sweaters. If you start with my first tutorial, which is the raglan sweaters, it's called ITAG cardigan. That's the first one you should start with if you've never knit a sweater before. And that's why I did it first. And then the second one is the yoke sweater. This is the third one, drop shoulder with the saddles or without the saddles. And the last one is set in sleeves because they're the most difficult. So I've done them in order of difficulty. And if you start with the first one and move right along, then you learn all the skills that you're going to need for knitting any kind of sweater. Okay, anything else? I'm so glad to see you here. It was fun. And I hope to see you again on Saturday. I hope the rest of your week is delightful and that you have a good time between now and then. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Bye.